Okay, hey gamers, today we're going to be talking about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and my thoughts on this game and why I'm not a huge fan of it. I stated this on Twitter earlier, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is the most mad and disappointed I've ever felt after beating a video game, and I still stand by that. Don't get me wrong, the game is really good. It was fun to revisit Breath of the Wild's world and see how it looked like before the events of the Calamity, and it was fun to... And the Warriors gameplay is always fun. I'm a fan of Hyrule Warriors, both Hyrule Warriors games. I didn't play Fire Emblem Warriors, but I'm also a fan of... I'm also going to be playing Persona 5 Scramble when it comes out in America. When it comes out in America is the key words there, Atlas. So the game's really good, but it's not what I wanted out of the game, and it's not how it was marketed either. The game was marketed as, and huge spoiler warning for Age of Calamity, by the way. We're gonna get into, basically, we're gonna spoil the entire game now. But the game was essentially marketed as a prequel for Breath of the Wild. Eiji Onuma said players can experience the events that happened 100 years before Breath of the Wild, and that makes it sound like the events are going to be canon. We're going to see what happens 100 years before Breath of the Wild and see exactly what happened, and that really interested me. That's why I was so excited for this game, because Age of Calamity, because I want a lot of things about Breath of the Wild and what happened before it, 100 years before it, and the exact details of the battles and stuff aren't really explained that well, and I wanted this game to be the game that explains it. And the Egg Baby was always featured front and center on the box art. Let's talk about Egg Baby, because he was there, but I thought that was just gonna be part of the game, and the events, the canon events that happened before Breath of the Wild, and I thought the game was going to go by what we see in Breath of the Wild, meaning the good guys lose, like all the 4 champions in King Rome die, and Link gets put in the Shrine of Resurrection, and all of that, but that's not what happens. Instead, you know how Hyrule Warriors was essentially Zelda fanfiction with the 3 timelines converging? Well, this game is essentially Breath of the Wild fan fiction, and last warning for spoilers, because I'm about to show you what happens and the bullshit solution they come up with. So what happens is Baby Guardian here sends, after Calamity Ganon gets summoned, which isn't even at the time, that happens in the memories. After Calamity Ganon makes his return, Baby Guardian lets out a beam, and what that does is this. Basically, the 4 champions from the future, the 4 new champions from the actual Breath of the Wild, Sidon, Teba, Yonobo, and Riju, they all get transported to this time and to 100 years in the 100 years in the past to go and stop Calamity Ganon. And that's the bullshit solution they come up with. And then they do it. They just beat Calamity Ganon. They somehow win. They win, and they decide to beat Calamity Ganon, and they win and basically undo Breath of the Wild. And maybe this sets up like a alternate timeline type thing. Maybe, I don't know, like how both the child but like the failed and the succeeded timeline in the normal Zelda timeline. Maybe the Zelda timeline work. Maybe this game is canon, just in a different branch of it, but that I don't think it is because of something I'll explain later. But other things that happen that piss me off. So, a lot of things don't get explained. Aster, for example. Aster is a character that I was really looking forward to learning more about, because Aster, when he was revealed in when he was shown off in the trailers, I thought he was going to be the fortune teller. Now, if you don't know who that is, let me go into Zelda theory for you. In Zelda Breath of the Wild, it is explained through the memories that the way Hyrule knew that Calamity Ganon was going to return soon was because of a anonymous fortune teller who predicted the return of Calamity Ganon. However, they also said that the power to oppose him lies dormant beneath the ground, referring to the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, which were dug up by the Hyrulean royal family. So the Hyrulean royal family digs up the Divine Beasts and the Guardians. However, Calamity Ganon, this would ultimately lead to their demise, because all it did was give Calamity Ganon an army, because Calamity Ganon learned how to use his malice to take control of the Guardians and Divine Beasts. So, it is theorized within the Zelda community that the fortune teller who predicted Calamity Ganon's return, if the fortune teller could see the future, why didn't they also predict the Guardians being taken over? So one of the theories in the community is that the fortune teller was actually a spy who told the royal family about the Guardians to set them up for failure and give Ganon an army, essentially. So when I saw Aster in the trailers, that's who I thought he was, but he wasn't. It's not confirmed whether he was or not, actually. The Zelda and King Rome don't say anything about, oh, I know you, aren't you that guy, or something like that. And if they did, I must have missed it. And so, because they don't say anything like that, I have to assume that he's not the fortune teller, because you'd think they would say something if he was. So, that was another big disappointment, because they could have either confirmed or denied. They could have confirmed this long and probably true fan theory. Like, it sounds really possible, and that was really good. Another character that I wanted to learn more about was Shuga, because in a tweet by Nintendo they said he was a mysterious new ally. So that made me think he was actually someone. And who Shuga But who Shuga wasn't revealed. And who Shuga and his importance, and we don't even learn what happens to him. Like, where were Shuga and Aster in Breath of the Wild, if they existed? Shuga, and at one point, Shuga and Aster betrays Shuga and Master Koga, and they fight, and then Master Koga shows up without Shuga and deciding to join Zelda for whatever, because Aster betrayed them, I guess. But what happened to Shuga? Did he, like, die in the fight against Aster, or what? Also, where were Shuga and Aster in Breath of the Wild? Why weren't they there? If they had both died, that would have made sense. And it could have been canon to the game. Also, speaking of characters dying, King Rome and the Baby Guardian die at points in the story, but they MacGuffin a solution. Like, for King Rome, it's because Zelda gave him this, he took this weird artifact from Zelda, which turned out to be a shield, which just so happened to activate at just the right moment to save his life. And so he remains alive. Why didn't this happen in the normal Breath of the Wild timeline? Why did King Rome die in the normal Breath of the Wild timeline? We don't know. Also, the Baby Guardian dies as well, but you're able to rebuild him as a post-game thing. But that's a post-game thing, and that doesn't... And as one final nail in the coffin to this game's canonicity, which is why I don't think it's in a different timeline. I think it's just totally non-canon, like the first Breath of the Wild. The game at the end of the game, after the post game, you can unlock the ability to play as Calamity Ganon upon basically 100%ing the game. Why? Why though? Pissing me off, because Nintendo and Koei Tecmo could have done something really amazing with this game, and they could have basically, they could have expanded the actual story and world of Breath of the Wild and showed how the characters got to the point of Breath of the Wild and what happens. But they didn't, and they couldn't, and they didn't. I can only hope Persona 5 Scramble is an actual canon sequel to Persona 5, and not this, and not the fanfiction bullshit that Age of Calamity turned out to be. And Age of Calamity could have been a really interesting game in which, and they could have done something really amazing with it, but instead Nintendo decided to take the easy way out, because Nintendo's audience is all babies, and of course the babies can't have a bad ending in which all the characters die. That'd be too sad for the little baby. So instead they took the easy way out, instead of making the dark, depressing game that everyone had hoped for, and the actual prequel that they said that this game was going to be. So that's my thoughts about this game. That's why this game pisses me off, and why I'm mad. But it's still a good game. It's just, if it was actually a prequel, it would have been one of my favorites on the Switch. Anyway, thank you all for watching.